Hello and good evening to all. Thank you so much for joining us on our Hispanic Heritage Month, Estamos Unidos series, presented by GPS. I'm the owner and founder of GPS Strategic Solutions, and I'm very excited to welcome my special guest this evening with us. I'm very excited to welcome Dr. Melissa Barral. Thank you so much for joining us on our conversation this evening.
Hello, Priscilla. Thank you so much. And thank you to the GPS Strategic Solutions team. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be a part of Hispanic Estamos Unidos, Hispanic Heritage Month. As a proud Latina woman, I am so excited to share with my fellow Latinos and people that are not Latinos too. They need to know that we are awesome.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to go ahead and kick off our conversation. I want to go ahead and formally introduce Dr. Melissa Barral. I'm going to talk about her through her bio, and then we will go ahead and jump into a conversation. If you are joining us this evening, please drop where you are tuning in from in the comments. We love to see where everybody is tuning from. And then also want to make sure that I let everybody know, if you do have questions during our conversation, please drop those in the comments. And then once we are done with our interview, I will go ahead and open up the floor for questions one last time to Dr. Melissa Barral, our special guest this evening. So we're going to go ahead and kick things off. So I would like to introduce Dr. Melissa Barral, who is the founder and CEO of Be Better Than Me, LLC. So Dr. Melissa Barral is an energetic and devoted professor with a commitment to education and importance of the family. For Dr. Melissa, it has been rewarding to help youth prepare for the future, our future. As a master educator at Berkeley College, she has the professional privilege of serving as a fountain of knowledge for many students. Born to Dominican parents who immigrated to the United States in search of vast opportunities. And so as a teenager, Dr. Barral moved to Paterson, New Jersey, and attended Passaic County Technical Institute. And this led to her bachelor's degree with a focus in biological science from Montclair State University. Through networking and mentorship, she was awarded the Bridges Scholarship for Minorities in the Sciences. And this scholarship program enabled her to complete her master's degree in molecular biology from Montclair State University. And she went on to later pursue her doctoral studies in pathology and cancer research at Rutgers University. Dr. Barral is a professor at Berkeley College, and having been a product of great academic endeavors, mentors, and diversity program, she wanted to be that for others, who just like her, also needed direction. Professionally, she has the honor of molding young minds and directly shaping our future. She has over 10 years of educational experience, and during her tenure has been the recipient of awards which include Faculty of the Year, Honors Faculty of Berkeley Leadership Alumni. And as part of her endeavors, she's also presented at educational conferences and was even the faculty commencement speaker at the Prudential Center in May of 2016. Dr. Barral is also the visionary behind the Education Nation. Her search for excellence led her to run for commissioner of the Paterson Board of Education. And she eventually started a nonprofit organization focused on the needs of women. In December of 2018, she founded Chicacus. Chicacus was envisioned to amplify the woman's voice by developing leadership, education, and self-confidence. Dr. Barral's organization strives to host educational workshops, seminars, and multicultural events that empower women and simultaneously aid community needs. She Caucus aims to give back to our schools, children, and working moms. She also serves on the board of the Fly Women's Network, a program dedicated to decreasing recidivism. And in 2019, August, she was appointed by the mayor of Patterson as the Commissioner and Beverage Committee. That is an amazing bio that you have, Dr. Melissa. Congratulations on your accomplishments and what you have achieved in your life and what you have done to achieve the American dream. I first off want to say I'm very grateful that our paths have crossed the way that they have.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to get our conversation started. So this evening, we are going to be discussing mindset and resiliency with Dr. Melissa Baralt, founder, CEO of Be Better Than Me, LLC. So let's go ahead and kick off our conversation this evening. So my first question to you, Dr. Melissa, is how does mindset affect the response to resiliency?
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you once again for having me. It's an honor to know you, to see what you do on these social media platforms and how you uplift so many Latinos that are just paying attention to your platform and listening to you. Priscilla, congratulate you. And I would send you a sister hug in the air. I think you're doing a wonderful job, and I'm glad for you having me here. And I talk about mindset, and I do a lot of workshops on mindset and the fact that we're all born, with this kind of fixed mindset and think that things change, that we can't be the change we want to see in the world, and that we can't do things once we fail. And I always tell people, it's not, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Right? So that there's a lesson in everything. And that's what perpetuates resiliency. The fact that we can move forward and know that everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Everyone crosses your life for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And sometimes the reasons are good. And sometimes the reasons are lessons. Like I said before, you can get something out of every single moment if we focus and we reshape our minds and we reshape the verbiage and we reshape how we think about things when the opportunities do come, rather than failure, opportunities. How do we lift, one another, and how do we lift each other? A lot of times we lift other people. We're not really careful about lifting ourselves, and we're not really careful about, maintaining a mindset that is positive and healthy. And one of the things that does, it just brings you to another level. It really brings you to another level. If you learn to have boundaries and really practice, a different kind of mindset and work on how that is going to make you resilient and how that is going to make you all together, all well-rounded professional, then, you don't have time for petty. You don't have time for things that are not important. You really focus on what's important and who's important. And that's what I'm here to say today, that, your mindset is everything, and it's our responsibility ultimately. Be good on purpose, be well on purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm happy to say that we have some people joining our conversation this evening. Welcome, Jenny's National Days and Photo Stories. Thank you for joining us from New Jersey. We really appreciate you being here. She is a wonderful celebration queen, and you will love to get to know her. So really appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening. Jenny's National Days and Photo Stories. And she also says, yes, it's so true. Everything happens for a reason, and Absolutely. It is a great motto to live by.
Absolutely. And, you have heartbreak. You have things that are going to happen to you. But you need to learn that, you need to move on, and you need to really focus on what and who's important, really. And I can't stress that enough. We've all had things happen to us, and sometimes in the moment we don't understand it. But mindset teaches us that everything has a lesson, and a lesson will come out of everything, no matter what. Even if you think you cannot overcome something, or you cannot possibly bear whatever you're going through, there's always things that are happening that will help you elevate to the next level. And you really have to pay attention. Elevate to the next level.
I like that. That's a really good takeaway from the question. Take it, elevate to the next level. That's a good nugget. So we'll probably, I'm probably going to use that and make sure that I give you credit for it, Dr. Melissa. So my next question then is, can you please explain the significance of having a growth versus a fixed mindset, which you kind of touched on in the first question?
Right. So fixed mindset tells you, you get to a math problem. And I like to use math because a lot of people have math anxiety, interestingly enough, right? And you get to a math problem and you sit down to do the math problem and the numbers look huge and your eyeballs go huge and your heart starts racing and you start sweating, and fixed mindset says, I can't do it. I cannot do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't know how to do it. But growth tells you that maybe you don't know how to do it at the moment, but there is yet. You don't know how to do that yet, right? You don't know how to master it, but you're going to go talk to somebody who maybe knows how to do it and can teach you a way of solving the problem, so that the next time you see a big problem like that, it doesn't overcome you. So the main thing in mindset is that if we're going to practice resiliency and positivity and we're going to want to change, you're going to have to actually recognize, where you're missing a piece and where someone who has expertise can kind of show you to connect the piece. And that's the importance of it, right? That growth mindset looks at failures as come ups, as I need to come up from this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to come up because I know that there's a goal. So even though the aims may change, the goal never does. The aims may change and things may be different, but your principal goal never changes. And that's how I've been able to keep up. It's been really tough. I mean, when I was in school, I was the only Dominican person in that program, at the Rutgers doctoral program. And there were some Latinos. There were about 10 of us. I remember because we were part of a scholarship program time, and this was in 2008. Right. This was like already 12 years ago. It's amazing how time happens, and how, all the things we think could never do. And now I go back and I teach students, and there's more Latinos in the program, and I teach them, you may have failed that exam, but you know what? Maybe life is trying to tell you that that's not the lab you need to be in, or maybe you don't need to be a biology major, maybe you need to be a chemical major, or maybe you need to switch your gear, and the goal is to finish. You're going to become a professional. But how about looking at things in a different mindset? And so having growth. And the growth mindset is all about that word, growth. Growth meaning that you're going to take whatever is, the problem, and you're going to learn from it, and you're going to grow, and you're going to develop. So I think a lot of people think that once people make it, that's it. They made it. So they're sitting down with a tequila and they're hanging out on the beach. And that's exactly not it. I mean, I'll never forget, looking at Kobe Bryant. And one of the things he told his daughters before he passed was he got this award. And he told his daughters, the dream is not this. The dream is when I used to wake up at 5 a.m. every day to practice. That's the dream. Because it's true. It's getting to, and it's a lot of work, like, I'm not even going to lie to you. There's times where, and I work remotely now, so I'm working from home. But just the mental process of everything I do, I'd say I put in a good 45 hours, just mental process, whatever it is, copywriting, making connections, and whatever has to get done, it just gets done, and that's it. So we really have to, have a mindset, because when you're positive and you're happy and you're energetic, people will be drawn to the energy, and people will be drawn to be like, hey, what do you do? And it's amazing what having positivity as your main goal or your main compass will do for your career, for your personal development, for your academic development, for all types of development.
Definitely. I really like how you explained that. I would say that with my Positivity Pass It On project, one of the things that I always like to stress is that it is not about feeling good all the time. And you've touched on that in some of your responses today. The key is that, you always see the good, because there's always good, even in the most difficult situations. As you said, we're talking about what growth mindset is. And every experience, good, bad, or ugly, more so the ugly ones probably take us more out of our comfort zone than the good ones. Absolutely,
Learning.
absolutely.
It's growth. I always talk about it. I always talk about, what do you think that seeds, when they sprout from the seeds and the root begins to sprout out, you think that doesn't hurt the seed? It absolutely hurts the seed. It ruptures the seed. And so I saw a great, meme the other day that I was like, oh my God, amazing. It was telling the story of the egg. An egg can be broken because somebody broke the outside and it's not developed on the inside, or it can take the boiled water and process, and now it's hard. And you try to break that egg once it's boiled, right? So the environment can affect the egg, but it's really the inside that makes that egg, survive and makes that egg make it through. And so your environment can change drastically. You can have a positive environment to a negative environment. Hell, most people on this call, when we did the COVID, nobody knew that we were going to be home stuck like this for like 4 months, 5, 6 months. And this really put emphasis on what and who is important. And I'll keep repeating it, what and who is important. You really had to really look at life on a different angle. Some of us lost family members due to COVID. I lost great friends and family members due to COVID. And it's really sad, and you really value what and who is important. You really do. You really get to value, and you really get to do. And I don't call it reflection. I call it interflection, right? Interflection, where you're reflecting yourself, and you're saying, what can I change? What can I do better? And so the answer to that is just cut people off, or cut things off that you're doing, and reshape and refocus and work on you. Work on you, develop in here, develop in here. And sometimes that's necessary evil, that you have to do in order to grow and have introspection.
Definitely, definitely. So I just want to thank Jenny's National Days and Photo Stories for joining us from New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate that. And so my next question then is, what is one takeaway that you would like our audience to know about mindset? If there's just one thing that you would like them to take away from our conversation tonight.
It's my classic go-to quote, and it's, you may not know what you want, but you know what you don't want, and I call that a start.
I love that. And I think even in my own professional and personal experiences, it took me a long, long time. But at that point in my life, I know what I don't want, and I set boundaries. And that is probably so important.
Listen, you have to. They're so important. Our parents raised us, we're Latinas. Our parents didn't raise us with boundaries. Like, your mother lived inside your room, inside you. Like, this is how we grew up in families, 3 people to a bed. Like, we have these dynamic families, and we're not taught the importance of setting boundaries and saying, listen, I don't respect that. I can't hang with you. I can't. And not everything needs an explanation. You really, what is the legacy you want to leave? What is what we want to leave? You really got to think about that when it comes to mindset. What is the legacy that you want to leave? What is the image that you're trying to portray? What are the words that you're trying to convey? And how are they going to affect the generations to come? How is your legacy really going to affect the legacy to come? And nowhere is that clearer than when someone is sick or on their deathbed or anything happens and everybody has everything to say about that person. But then when they're, you barely, this is when you're building it, right? You barely see that. This is when you're building it. So I think it's important to really, and I was telling one of my friends today that it's okay, Luisa, if she's listening. I was telling her today, I said, your birthday is such a privilege. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, it beats the alternative. Not be celebrating a birthday, and it's a privilege. She's like, oh yeah, and I told her you're living every day as if it were eternal, because everything you do is going to be reflected in the legacy that you leave behind, and that lasts forever.
Absolutely, absolutely, very true. So my next question then is, Dr. Melissa, how do you feel that small changes make a big difference, and what are some of your recommendations, just maybe a couple, to help our Estamos Unidos community find the best
small
version
changes? Okay, so the best version of themselves, I think everything starts with a process. And part of the process is understanding what you are good at and what you are not good at, right? Sometimes we do things because we need a job and we need a check coming in, but that's not our passion, right? So finding our passion and really building what it is that I like and what it is that I'm natural at. So I originally went to school to be a scientist, in a lab, a scientist. And I was in a science lab and I was doing research and I was doing all kinds of informational stuff. And it was good and I was good at it. And I had, grants that I wrote and it was a scientific life. And I realized that I wanted to speak. I wanted to be talking to people and I rather affect the young minds because I didn't have that growing up. So I didn't have mentors that looked like me. Maybe there was one mentor that looked like me. And she took pity on my soul and she mentored me during the med. Remember, she was the only woman of color in that academic setting. And her name was Dr. Pernella Rameshwar, and I am forever indebted to her. And she is the person that she is like a stem cell specialist. And she would always say, listen, do this. And it was through her mentoring that I really blossomed. So, if step by step, find a great mentor. Find a great mentor. Mentorship will change your life. If you are looking to be a scientist, find someone who has experience in science. If you're looking to be an accountant, find someone who has experience in accounting. So that's one is lay it out, right? And two is find the great mentor. And three, I would say, again, focus on the things you're good at and develop them. So realize that learning is eternal. You never stop learning. Be willing to learn and be willing to take these chances, these courses, certificates. If you have to do different programs or different online programs. Right now, we have an opportunity with COVID because everyone's home and everything's virtual. You literally can click on your screen and go to everything. So you should take advantage of that time, and really develop. There's never been a better to develop and really build a better you.
Absolutely. And Jenny's National Day and photo story says, such a great mindset. What is my legacy? So thank you so much for that. And so when we introduced you earlier in our conversation, we got to know you are a professor, you're a mentor, and you are the founder CEO of Be Better Than Me, LLC. So can you share with us a little bit more about your small business?
Sure. So I have my nonprofit and I said, this is community work, but I wanted something for me. I wanted something for the legacy that I'm leaving behind to my children, right? And I wanted something where I can put the skills that I've acquired through experience and through hardship and through just development, and past students who may be like me can actually benefit from whatever I have to say. So I do a conference like 2 years ago, I would say. And a person asked me, how do you help students? And I said to them, I don't, and I was being funny at the time. I said, I don't want them to be like me. No. I want them to be better than me. And it got recorded. The soundbite got recorded and they used it in my school. And I said, that is such a great be better than me. I said, that is such a great, kind of tagline. Be better than me. Don't be like me. Be better than me. So then, but I didn't want it to be better than me. I had to have like a unique twist to it, right? So my name in Greek is Melissa. My name means honeybee. So I said, that's perfect. I'm a bee. There we go. Honeybee. Be Better Than Me, LLC. And that's how it got started. And I was talking to my friend that's an accountant. She said, no problem. I'll actually help you file everything. And that's how we started. And we just want to do, help people develop. And that's what I've been doing all along. I just never had it as a viable business until now.
Right. So then are more of your ideal clients going to be students who are on a professional journey, or are you open to just helping people who are, can you tell us more about like your ideal client?
Sure. So my ideal client are, predominantly students that are in their bachelor's program. The society tells us, oh, go to college. but they don't really push the fact that I think people should go to college and more. I think like once you make the sacrifice to go to college, you need to continue and, you know, get that master's, get that doctorate, get that JD, get that D, get it, keep getting it, right? So I think it's my ideal client is the person that finishes a bachelor's and thinks like, I'm just ready to get a job. You're my ideal client because I'm here to tell you that, and I always say this to my students, right? And I tell them on the resume when I'm doing their resume, and this is for my students or anybody who's here and is a millennial. And I tell them when you're organizing your resume, I always tell them, hey, put your education on that bad boy and be deliberate about putting your education on that bad boy. Because everyone can get a job, but not everybody went to school. Not everybody developed. Not everybody has a certificate. And it's not that it makes you better than anyone to go to college. There's people that go to trade school and they do awesome things. And I work with those people too. I help them get in. You know, I do their packages, whether it's cover letter, whether it's, you know, making the right connection, teaching people how to email and do closure emails, intro emails. It's not just that. It's the fact that people, I feel like they get stuck because they don't know what's next. And so they think the next progression is a job and that's it. And I'm telling you, if you've already sacrificed 4 years, in some cases, you know, a master's can take you 18 months. So I'm saying, why not sacrifice, you know, the year and a half and come out better off? When you come out of college, depending on the career, you're going to be making what, 36, 41,000? With a master's, it just puts you in a different salary frame. So not only does it introduce you to a different table, it actually asks you what you want to eat for dinner, right? Because now you're sitting in the table with people who are looking at you like, wow, this person is credentialed, this person is qualified, you know, and I never saw the value of that. Never. I just thought I had to keep going in school. And I got my doctoral degree, I was telling you, at like 27, right? Which was unheard of. And I thought it was just like, oh yeah, I got to keep going to school. I didn't have a choice. And I get this big degree, you know, molecular pathology and immunology. And I was like on top of the world because I was like, wow, I got this big degree. And I worked and I kind of was like, I shut it off for a little bit. But then when I entered the realm of public life, people were really taken by the fact that, you know, I had this huge thing attached to my name. And I never realized that it was such a big impact. And I realize now that that really opened a lot of doors for me, which I thought would have never been open otherwise. And just having the opportunity to have that education is something that I will forever owe to my parents. And so this is the main reason why I never changed my last name. I love you, honey. I mean, I love my husband, but I never changed my last name because it was my dad who broke nights with me, who was there for kindergarten, who was there through high school. And he was the one that put me through that, you know, that bridge. And I got married after I became a doctor. So I decided to keep my maiden name because of that. So I was already publishing papers with that name. So I'm grateful. I mean, I've been so blessed, you know, God has sent me so many good people. He sent me bad ones too, but you know what? I love on everybody. God has sent me so many great people. And it's just the power of prayer. And somebody once said, you know, sometimes the manifestations of things that you see in your life is not just because of a coincidence. It's because your damn grandparents were praying for you. And those are prayers answered from your grandparents, you know, and I believe that, you know, I'm very lucky. I was very blessed to have great grandparents, you know, awesome parents, and just, you know, it's just a blessing. I'm really grateful and hopeful. You know, I have 2 boys, 2 young boys, and that's the biggest job besides all this stuff. It's the biggest job, being a mom.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just want to let our audience know, if you're tuning in live, if you have any questions for Dr. Melissa Barral, please drop your questions in the comments below, and I will make sure that we get those answered. So thank you to 365 National Holidays Challenge. I've got a lot of good friends all over the place, and these lovely ladies are very supportive as well, and they do a lot of celebration of national days, international days. So I am so thankful to have Gigi from Florida joining us this evening. So thank you so much, Gigi, for joining us this evening. Jenny's National Days and Photo Stories just mentions, it's such a good point to just go for the master's, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not such a long time. So thank you for sharing that with us.
I'm gonna just say a joke. Some of you been in bad relationships longer than that, and you didn't get nothing out of that. At least here you get a master's.
So we do have a question from Gigi. Gigi is asking, companies now want education and an experience, but students are, kind of getting into debt to get a big degree, and then having trouble with finding jobs. So in that regard, what would you advise students to do in that situation?
Absolutely. Gee, thanks for asking that question. So my first thing is, there's a lot of scholarships out there that people have no idea exist, especially for the minority students. So I was part of one of those scholarship programs. I was part of the Bridges Minorities program. And what that program did is I paid for my master's, and it bridged me onto a doctoral program. And that program was all paid for. So I literally went to school for free from my master's all the way up to my doctorate. And this is something that's available for minorities in the sciences, because our numbers are so abysmally low that the United States really has an interest in putting people in STEM and putting minorities in front of the different spotlights. So there are a lot of scholarships and a lot of opportunities available. There's a lot of programming and a lot of programs in companies that'll strategically pay for your master's and strategically pay for you to get advanced professional and academic training. And very good to work for companies like that. I'll give you an example off the top of my Hoya. They're fantastic with their employees. I have a friend that he works there. He's been working there for 27 years, and they actually paid for his whole master's and his whole career. He's now one of the supervisors in one of the departments, and he's doing really well. So you get the opportunity like that. My best bet for students is that while you're doing your bachelor's, you should look into internships that'll align you with the right people. And I almost urge students, start networking sophomore year, junior year of college. Start making those connections, because sometimes you'll let somebody that knows about an opportunity, and that's the best way to pay it back. I always tell my students, especially like my bio students, none of them knew that if you get a graduate assistantship as a biology major, you get your graduate studies paid for in most colleges. Right? So all you got to do is man the labs for these big time professors, and you get your college paid for. There's this thing called the consortium, if any of you want to write it down. And that is a program that is geared to minorities that want to go into MBA, whatever it is. And they have a program, because there's so many little of us, just geared to helping people like that. There's local programming too. There's a lot of grassroots organization that actually give money and help people with their costs. There's a lot of things that you can do depending on the state you're in. There's also an app. These two young men develop an app. I'm trying to remember the name. It's like Schoolio or something, where you put in what you want to study. Scholly, that's the name of the app. You put in what you want to study, and then it actually does a database search of all the scholarships that are available. So I would say there are scholarships available, there are fellowships available, and there are opportunities available. And I always tell people, get a job at a university, because that's the best way to get free education. You work at the university, you focus on your master's degree, you get a discount or whatever it is at that university, and it's fantastic. And now most states have programming where if you make under $100,000, you get the 2-year experience for free. There should be no reason that people shouldn't be educated, and people shouldn't have, at least the basic feel of an associate at the least. Even if a certificate program, you still have to study and get your certification. So it doesn't stop with high school, and it shouldn't stop with bachelor's. And I get the debt. I understand it. But there's ways around it. You have to be resourceful. You have to really know how to manage your network. And that's just my best advice.
That's awesome.
Let go and let
God. Love that. That's very, very nice. So Gigi is asking, can you tell us the name of the app one more time, and I will type that in the comments.
Hold a minute. Let me double check, because
I think I heard you say Schoolio. but I want to confirm
I
that.
think it's Scally. Hold a minute. Yes, Scally. My Scally. SCHOLLY. MyScally.com.
SCH.
SCHOLLY. My Scally. See? And it's like scholarships made for you. And you put it in and you join the app. You join the app and it gives you a list. You put in what you want to work on, what you need, Scally, academics, extracurricular, whatever it is, and they actually hook you up. They're amazing. MyScally.com. Yep, that's them.
Perfect.
That's
Thank you so much for that resource. Really appreciate that. And so thank you so much, Jenny. Really appreciate both of you. Jenny and Gigi are wonderful. So
adorable. I love that they love you. I love it.
Well, there's nothing like lifting up other women, and that is something a lot of people will probably say. I live it and I breathe it, and I believe in it wholeheartedly, and that's probably why you and I, Dr. Melissa, get along so well, because our wavelength is very similar.
Yep, up and away. and I just want to say, not everybody's going to receive your energy. Not everybody's going to receive it. And not everybody's going to understand what you're about. You don't worry about that, because you're not here to please people. You're here to please the purpose. You're here to do higher for the,
Definitely. I think one of the biggest lessons I'd like to tell my younger self is the day that you stop becoming a people pleaser is literally going to be a moment of reaching a higher awareness of yourself. So I think that if we can learn that early on in life, and that we are, out to, leave that legacy, and we cannot please everybody. If we learn that earlier on and come to terms with that, man, what a difference it makes, right?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. It's transcendental. Absolutely.
Definitely. And Jenny says, it's really great to meet you, Dr.
Nice to meet you too.
So she really appreciates that a lot. And she also says, it's so true. Just keep on being positive, even if it's not reflected back. So,
exactly. Let it be known.
Definitely. I love to host these conversations, because I am always about helping to lift other women-owned businesses, just like yourself. And so how can we support your small business Be Better Than Me, LLC, through your social media channels, and how can we get in touch with you?
I have on my Facebook page, I don't have a website yet, but I have on my Facebook page my contact. I'm pretty good on my Facebook page, and my LinkedIn, I'm pretty fast on my LinkedIn. There's two actual Dr. Melissa Barals. We're two Dr. Melissa Barals. How freaky is that? Two people with the same name. She has a middle name and I don't. And she is like 6'5" and she's blonde. Obviously, I'm the other one, right? But you contact me through there. And what I do is I do planning. I do, academic planning, professional progression. If you're stuck in a job and you want that promotion, how do you get your resume to stand out? How do you get your cover letter to stand out? And I also added to the list, I forgot to mention, I also know and build curriculum. So if you want to teach a class on financial literacy and you need to know how to organize the curriculum, I do all that kind of stuff too, because it turns out teaching and being a professor, I've been building a curriculum for 11 years. I had no idea until I did a curriculum for the Prospanica people, which I just joined Prospanica. And I did a curriculum for them. And I'm like, oh, they're like, you built a curriculum? And I didn't think it was a big deal. But then, you get to know people, right? You get to know things.
Definitely. So with that, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Melissa, for joining us. Really appreciate the information that you shared with us, and everything that you're doing in your community is wonderful and amazing. And
Thank you.
Really looking forward to supporting you in your ongoing endeavors. And I do apologize for the background noise.
It's not background noise. That's not background noise. That's
Okay.
that's life recycled through and on you. Don't worry about it.
So I just want to thank you again, Dr. Melissa Burrell. Thank you so much for sharing part of your evening. I know that you are very busy in your professional endeavors and what you do in the community, and Yoshi Caucus as well, and starting this business. So I wish you all the very best. So
Thank you so much.
I want to thank those that have joined us this evening. Thank you so much for. It looks like we have someone joining us. Myra might be one of your students.
That's one of my dear friends. She's amazing. She is
Says,
amazing.
Profe, thank you for always being an inspiration in my life from day one, and continue to spread knowledge and uplift everyone you come across.
Te quiero, Mayra. Te quiero. I love her. She's so amazing. And literally, she looks up to me, but I look up to her. She literally, during the pandemic, volunteered. I don't know how many days. I think it was like 150 days. This woman was giving out food to all of the local families. How amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Myra, so much for tuning in. Really appreciate that. So the Hispanic Heritage Month 2020, Estamos Unidos series is presented by GPS Strategic Solutions, and I'm the owner and founder of GPS Strategic Solutions. So if you're a small business or a nonprofit that is looking for digital marketing services, whether that's strategy, storytelling, content development, or if you're looking for opportunities to team up for influencer campaigns or to help with your data insights, please do feel free to reach out to me. I do have a community on Instagram called Positivity Vibe Tribe. So please feel free to check me out there as well. And every one of you for joining. This conversation will be available as a replay. So if you are not able to attend the live conversation, please feel free to share this with your network, as we would love to continue supporting Dr. Melissa Burrell, founder and CEO of Be Better Than Me. And so I'm looking forward to next week's conversation as we chat with the founders of Johnson County Latina Leadership Network. And that is scheduled for 7 p.m. Central Time. So we look forward to having you join us next week. And if you want to use the hashtag Estamos Unidos for any nuggets of knowledge that you feel like you're able to take away from this conversation tonight on social media, please go ahead and use the hashtag. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week for our Hispanic Heritage Month 2020 Estamos Unidos series next week at 7 p.m. Central Time with Johnson County Latina Leadership Network. Thank you again, Dr. Melissa, and I look forward to supporting you in all of your endeavors.
Thank you.
And you have a hermana in me, so anything that I can do to help you out, please let me know.
Absolutely. And everybody out there, remember, don't be like me, be better than me, way better than me. And that means you can be better than what you are right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again so much, everybody, and have a great evening. And as I mentioned, this conversation will be available as a replay. Please share it with your networks, and we will see you next week at 7 p.m. Central Time. Everybody have a great evening, and thank you for sharing your time, Dr. Melissa Burrell.
Thank you, Priscilla, for having me. Adiós todos. Y estamos unidos y seguimos unidos.
Absolutely. Estamos unidos y pa'lante seguimos.
Porque juntas somos más.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Besos para ti, and pa'lante vamos. Take care. Thank you, everybody, so much. Bye-bye.